Hello and welcome to the Art of Caro. In this video I'm going to show you how I made this dragon plushie in a rainbow theme. This is a Christmas gift for my godson, and I asked his mother what his favorite color was, and his favorite color is rainbow. So I managed to find this really soft and cozy rainbow fleece, and then it's just regular cotton on the back, and then I made similar spikes on the back as I did on the dragon lovey that I made for my other godson. Yeah, so this is a big one for a 3-year-old. So let's get into the video. I started out with putting together 2 pieces of A3 paper and folding it at the diagonal and cutting off the excess fabric. So I had a square, and then I folded it back into a triangle and copied the pattern I made for the dragon lovey and just made it bigger. And I did this because I wanted it to be similar to the dragon lovey, because my older godson really admired the one that the baby got. So that is the reason for the shape of this dragon plushie. Then I'm using the piece of paper I cut off before to make the head in a similar way that I made the body. And the tail spike as well. Then I had to get some more paper to make the upper portion of the head, because I want it to be a bit more 3-dimensional than the dragon lovey I made. So I made it 3 pieces, and I can't really explain how I made the pattern because I sort of just went with it and tried my best. But you can see here, I filmed what I did, and I hope that could maybe help someone if someone wants to make this. So I made 2 cheek pieces and then like the forehead piece. And then I'm cutting out my pieces out of the fabric and starting with the rainbow fabric, and I couldn't draw on this fabric, so I'm pinning the pattern pieces to it. If I'm looking like I'm wearing really warm clothes, it's because the heat was out in my apartment when I was doing this, so I was freezing. And I tried to keep both sides of the tail spike the same color gradient, just because I thought that would be nice. And then I'm pinning the tail spike together, and then I'm drawing out the pieces of the dragon that are going to be in the green fabric. As you can see, I folded that body piece of the pattern so that I could just use that for the 2 pieces at the back, and I folded it so I would have 1 cm seam allowance at the spine. Then I'm cutting that out of the fabric. You can see my cat is helping me out. Then I'm pinning the top portion of the head together, those 3 pieces. And then I'm measuring out the ribbons that I want to use for the spine. And I've done some math, so I know how many pieces I need. And then I'm melting each end of those ribbon pieces to make sure they don't fray when I sew them on later on. And then I'm pinning the pieces of ribbon to one portion of the like top of the dragon, and then I'm sewing those down to the spine, and then I'm sewing the top portion of the head. It's a bit fiddly around the curves. And then I'm sewing the tail spike, and I'm making sure to leave a gap open for turning. Then I'm pinning the other part of the top of the dragon to the first part, sandwiching in the ribbons, and then I'm stitching along the spine. Then I'm turning the tail spike right side out and pinning together that gap I left open for turning purposes. And making sure it's all turned out as it's supposed to be. Then I'm hand stitching that gap together. Sorry if I'm a bit out of frame for some of this footage. I was working against a deadline and it was starting to run out, so I was really focused on my project. Then I'm stuffing the tail spike, and I was really careful on this project to not overstuff this, because I wanted to be nice to like cuddle and sleep with, so I didn't want it to be too hard. I wanted to have a like blanket quality to it, but still be more like a plushie, so it felt like a more of a older kid's toy. Then I'm trimming off the seam allowance of the top of the head. And pinning the lower portion of the head to the top. Again, being careful of the curves. And this is right sides together, of course. Then I'm stitching those together. Here I didn't need to leave a gap because the neck opening is big enough to turn it. And I'm turning it right sides out and using a pen to help push out those hard to reach places. And then I'm stuffing the head. And my cat felt the need to help me out. And then I'm ironing, like pressing the seam allowance on the inside to make it as flat as possible, and then I'm ironing the spikes to make them stand up. Then Sokka is inspecting my work while I pin the top of the dragon to the stomach portion, or like the lower portion. Sokka really loves lying on the ironing board, even if I haven't ironed on it. I don't know why. just loves it. Then I'm stitching together the top and the bottom of the body, and I'm leaving a gap open at the tail. You can see it here where I've left the pins in, and that is for turning and stuffing purposes later on. Here I'm trimming off the seam allowance and notching the spiky parts of the wings. Then I'm turning the body the right sides out. Making sure to push out all those spikes and stuff. Here I'm drawing out the body curve, and I'm going to match that on the other side later on, making sure it's even. And then I'm pinning together the top and the lower part of the body so it won't shift when I'm sewing it. And then I'm sewing that line, and I'm leaving the beginning and the end with long tails of thread instead of backstitching, so it will look nicer. And then I just make a knot at the end and the beginning and hide the ends of the thread in the dragon. Then I'm stuffing the body, again making sure to not overstuff, keeping it nice and cozy. I had to get some more stuffing. Then I'm pinning together that opening I left, making sure to fold in the seam allowance, and then I'm stitching it together. Then I'm folding in the seam allowance at the tail and shoving in the seam allowance at the tail spike to attach them together, and then I'm pinning it, and then I'm going to hand stitch them together. Then I'm doing the exact same thing with the head. I only had to do some improvised folding at the top of the head because I had more fabric from the head portion that I had from the neck, and I don't really know what happened in my pattern making, but unfortunately that was what happened. So I had to fix that by some creative folding at the neck, but it looks okay, I think. And then I'm going to make the eyes, and I'm doing this by layering felt, and I don't know how it will hold up over time, but if it gets destroyed I can make new ones or figure out something else and just repair it. I was working with the deadline and it was coming up and I didn't have time to like embroider them or something, and I wanted to make some really big beautiful eyes to make it look friendly, so this is what I came up with. We shall see how it will hold up. So I'm also making some eyelashes because I thought that would help with the friendly appearance. So you can see how it will come together later on. Already I layered them up to make sure I was happy with how it will look. So some upper lashes and some lower lashes. So I started by stitching the iris to the white of the eye. And I also think all the stitching will help keep the eyes nice. And then I'm stitching the pupil, I think that's the right term in English, to the iris. And then I'm stitching that light sort of sparkle to the pupil and iris, and then I'm stitching on the lashes. It was more hand stitching than I anticipated in this project. I'm using some pins to keep it together while I hand stitch. And then I'm pinning the eye to the head and stitching it down, making tiny invisible stitches. And that's the eye. And this is the finished dragon. That's it for this video. I'm really happy with how the dragon turned out. I think it's really snuggly and cute, and I hope my godson will enjoy it when he gets it. And it was a fun and relaxing project to work on. Yeah, so that's all. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. And if you want to see more of my videos in the future, you may want to subscribe and hit the notification bell. May the stars shine upon your faces and have a glorious day. Thank you, and goodbye for now.